So this particular day, this girl had asked me to. We just finished writing exams, and she was like, "Oh, please, can I drop her at the airport?" And she's taking a flight to Toronto and then Lagos after. I said, "Sure, no problem. What time is your flight?" She said 5 o'clock. 5 p.m. She said no, 5 a.m. I said, okay. I said, okay, fine, no problem, no problem. And I just finished my last exam, so I bought like chips, a bag of chips, ice cream. I was watching Naruto, and I looked at the time. It was like 2 a.m. I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm not gonna sleep. I'm just gonna bone it till 5 and drop out of the airport. Tell me why I slept off. She missed her flight. Don't say no, I beg. I mean, no. She missed her flight, and I woke up at like 7. and I looked at my phone, no missed call. I was like, okay. And I opened Snapchat. I saw like 50 something missed call on Snapchat. I'm like, no. You know, some students, we don't have phones. Like, it's Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi based. And I was like, okay. I felt really bad. I called her, and she's like, oh, she's in Toronto now, but she missed her international flight, so she has to get another one. I said, I'm really sorry. I'll make it up to you. That's where people pleasing began. She came back from Nigeria, and then she called me to pick her up. I was like, sure. I picked her up. I was like, I apologized again and everything. And next thing, it became an everyday thing. Like, before I came to that university, this girl was taking the bus to school. Like, she was taking the bus to work. And it became a issue. Please, I'm going to work. Can you give me a ride? I said, no problem. I'm making it up to her.
Like other times of like altar call, I used to be so scared to go forward because what are the chances that everybody's closing their eyes? If you go forward for something bad, like fish you out. Pastor's daughter, and they will call you after service. Let's talk about it. So like I was not allowed to enjoy the early stages of my Christian walk.
I'm so thrilled to have with me on the show today, Isi and Anu. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies, for joining me. Thank you. And we're going to be talking about a topic that is very dear to my heart.
Okay.
We're talking about people pleasing as Christian girls. How are you feeling?
We're here for it. Let's have it.
How are you feeling about that topic?
It's a tough one. It's actually a tough one. People pleasing. I think everyone people pleases. Yeah. Everyone people pleases.
I don't think so.
I actually think so.
Some level maybe, yes. But there's some people that it might be your everyday reality.
But people like...
Yeah. So, okay, put up your hands if you're an ex-people pleaser.
Ex. What's wrong? So, we're breaking.
I'm the only one who I'm raising up her hands in the room. Put up your hands if you are a recovering people pleaser. Again, I'm the only one. I'm the only one with my hands up. Put up your hands if you are still a people pleaser. Okay, so for context, Isi and Anu, they have their hands up. Okay, this is interesting. And as an ex-people pleaser, I feel like people pleasing, like you said, affects everyone. But some people just have it as their reality, and that used to be my reality. And I've had to do a lot of reflection, therapy even, to just figure out like where did this people pleasing syndrome start from. And for me, like as I was reflecting, I figured that it started from hearing what will people say as a young child. And so I'm a pastor's child or pastor's daughter, and growing up I heard that word a lot. What will people say? What will people say? What will people say? And so I think I just soaked in the word and took it in. And as I grew, even in my friendships, before I made decisions, what will people say? What will people say? And I think that sort of turned me into a people pleaser. And I also think personality? Some personality traits are more prone to people please. I took a test and I realized that as well. So I think some personalities, mine as well, if you, I guess, love to help people, that kind of thing, you're, a little bit prone to people pleasing. Yeah. So I want to ask you guys, when did you first realize that you're a people pleaser?
I think Anna should go first.
Okay. When I first realized, I mean, I've always been a people pleaser. Like you, I was a pastor's child, so
Wow,
plus,
I feel a
don't
lot.
worry, you're not missing much. But like growing up in that setting, I didn't really take it too deep until I got to university and then living with some of my friends at the time. There was this particular experience that after that, I used to write like, I wouldn't call them poems or whatever, but I used to write in my journal at the time. And I remember after that experience, I wrote something else. I was like, why can't I speak up against what they did against me? Like, why can't I defend myself? And I realized that, oh, yeah, I'm trying to people please. So it was from there. And I've been struggling with it since then, but God is still helping me.
How about you, see?
I think for me it was done in uni that I was a people pleaser, because I would call a particular friend. Shout out to that friend, you know yourself. But I would always call him and just rant about how it's draining, like just going out and like just going out of my way to do stuff for people and feeling less appreciated for it and just feeling like tired, like, and not being able to say no to them. And he will always just laugh and be like, it's not hard though. It's no. And no. And I think uni was definitely the time I realized, oh, you're actually a people pleaser, you need help, you need to start saying no to people. Yeah.
Did you always know that the name was people pleasing? Because for me, I just knew there was something off. Like I was in this friendship where, bruh, it was crazy. Like it was really bad. And my friend, but I couldn't tell her no. And it was very toxic. It was very, very toxic. But I didn't know what it was. I was like, what is this thing? And then I started researching and therapy. And, the therapist was like, it's called people pleasing. So did you guys always know that there was a term for it, or you just, I guess, figured it out as you continue?
I got a lot of if you're a very sensitive person, you're loving and caring, but like Loki actually wasn't loving and caring. Like it was like, I am someone who would normally just go out of my way to help anybody. If I can, I would. But like when it became like abusive, like not really okay, I shouldn't use abusive, like no one's beating me here or threatening my life, but like when it became like an abuse of like power, like not power, but like when people kept doing the same thing, like, and me going out of my way every time, and I'm voicing out, like not really voicing out, but I'm like, it's like, Moya, you're asking me a question and you see like I'm uncomfortable and I don't want to do it, but you're still waiting for me to say yeah, sure, like, and I end up saying yes. That was it for me.
Okay, I don't think I knew that I was people pleasing. At the time, I thought I was timid. So I was just like, okay, I guess I'm just that person. I don't know how to defend myself. I don't know. So like, I don't know if you guys have or had that same feeling of when it's time to like say no or like defend yourself and you just start shaking and it's like those words cannot come out of your mouth.
I stammer.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, maybe I'm just timid. Maybe I am not bold enough, or I don't understand myself enough, or like, and the same thing too. My dad used to always say, oh, she's very selfless. Like she's a very good person. No, I do not want to do it. I just did not know how to say no, because I felt like if I say no, then you won't like me. So I just, yeah.
I can so relate to that. Can you trace the root of your people pleasing? Have you tried to trace like where it all started from? Is that something you've tried to do?
Yes. Also being a pastor's kid, I think, plus my personality, I'm very quiet, very laid back. So growing up in the environment of what will people say, or you have to be this type of person. My son, I used to call it assistant Holy Spirit. Like you have to be calm, you can't, that type of thing. So I lived my life at the time for church members. So coming out of that, like leaving the church and everything, my mind was always, people are watching me, people's eyes are on me, I have to I have to be perfect. I have to be this. So there's people pleasing, and then there's also perfection with it too. So yeah, I'll say being a pastor's kid, and also no shit, but growing up with a perfectionist mom as well. Yeah, that was
Deep stuff.
Yeah. I
I
think I can trace mine back to like when I was a kid. Like I have three brothers, right? So I think to some extent my mom kind of like having her own mini her, like, and like there were big shoes to fill, and I don't know, like I always had to bend for my brothers, which is crazy to me. Like I'm the only girl. Like you think it's the other way around, but like it's like my parents would just push me to the side and be like, you know what, bend for them. They're boys. Like, and then from there, it just started like becoming a thing. Like I'll always bend for others, and then you have aunties and uncles that would just, I don't know, just they were entitled and they will expect you to do certain things, and you had, I don't know about now, but when I was in Nigeria, like the way we were raised, you had to, I don't know if it's respect, it's not respect, but like when people just ask you to do certain things and you can't question it, you just say, yeah,
have to
do
do
it,
it.
do it, I'll do it. So I think it goes back to like just when I was a child and my environment, Nigeria, like where respect is not earned, it's like forced upon you, and you just find yourself in that like people pleasing circle. Yeah.
Can you remember or share like a specific people pleasing instance that was really bad? Like where you were like, nah,
I have a
I
lot.
messed up. But like, do you have that one?
I'm thinking of that one big one. Let me think.
I have an example. So, in church back then, I had just given my life to Christ. So, is in twofold. I had just given my life to Christ, and it was my parents that led me to Christ. And the situation by it, they still did not believe me that I had given my life to Christ. So it was like I was 15. So it was like whenever they would be passing my room, that's when I open my Bible. I'm like, the beginning was the word. I like try to seem more spiritual and just to prove to them that okay, I'm now a Christian, all of that. And then going to church, there was this one time that one pastor came and was like, okay, people that want to get baptized in the Holy Ghost, like come forward. I wanted to, but because of that mentality of you are the pastor's child now, why are you just receiving Holy Spirit? Like I don't know, that just kept coming to my mind, and I was like, I kept trying to stand up, trying to stand up. At the end of the day, I stood up. I just went to the bathroom. And I was like beating myself up in the bathroom, like, why didn't you go forward? You know you want this, you know you like. And again, like other times of like altar call, I used to be so scared to go forward because what are the chances that everybody's closing their eyes? If you go forward for something bad, like
Fish you out.
pastor's daughter, and they will call you after service, let's talk about it. So like I was not allowed to enjoy the early stages of my Christian walk because I was trying to do it for other people. But yeah, that's the most shocking example for now.
Well, I have a lot, but the one that I can remember clearly was back in Nigeria, like high school, secondary school actually. I switched classes for this boy. You know how no, I've never said this. Like no one, aside my brother, no one else. My brothers, they know about this, but it was, you know how they divide people to like GS1, A, B, C, D. I think I was in GS3, and the guy I liked at that point was in A or so, no, B, and they put me in A. Somehow, sha, I switched my classes, and I got to B because of the guy. Yay, exposed. But I think that's one like core like memory of me people pleasing just because of a guy I wanted to talk to. I had a crush on. I people pleased, and yeah.
How about people pleasing as an adult? Like now, I want to hear about that. Is it still as bad as?
It's bad though.
Very bad.
It's actually bad. It's bad. I don't want to use any recent one because I don't know who's watching this. I mean, I'm not trying to please y'all, but I still, I still have to, But there's one in uni. So basically, in uni, you know how I had a car. I was fortunate enough to have a car. I went to. Do I even have to say the university I went
No,
to? Okay,
don't.
cool. So I had a car, and people asked me, can I give them a ride? And I was like, yeah, sure. So this particular day, this girl had asked me to. We just finished writing exams, and she was like, oh, please, can I drop her at the airport? And she's taking a flight to Toronto and then Lagos after. I said, sure, no problem. What time is your flight? She said 5 o'clock. 5 p.m. She said no, 5 a.m. I said, okay. I said, okay, fine, no problem, no problem. And I just finished my last exam, so I bought like chips, a bag of chips, ice cream. I was watching Naruto, and I looked at the time. It was like 2 a.m. I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna sleep. I'm just gonna bone it till 5 and drop out of the airport. Tell me why I slept up. She missed her flight. Don't say no, I beg. I mean, no. She missed her flight, and I woke up at like 7. and I looked at my phone, no missed call. I was like, okay. And I opened Snapchat. I saw like 50 something missed call on Snapchat. I'm like, no. Some students, we don't have phones. Like, it's Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi based. And I was like, okay. I felt really bad. I called her, and she's like, oh, she's in Toronto now, but she missed her international flight, so she has to get another one. I said, I'm really sorry. I'll make it up to you. That's where people pleasing began. She came back from Nigeria, and then she called me to pick her up. I was like, sure. I picked her up. I was like, I apologized again and everything. And next thing, it became an everyday thing. Like, before I came to that university, this girl was taking the bus to school. Like, she was taking the bus to work. And it became a issue. Please, I'm going to work. Can you give me a ride? I said, no problem. I'm making it up to her. And it was just like, it was a constant thing. She'll finish work. Can I get a ride? I'll go. Me. I said, wow, she's not my sister. She's not really my friend. She's just an acquaintance. Like, and then I think it was like reading week. 2 of my friends had come to stay with me. And they watched me continue this cycle. They collected my phone. I said no. Like, literally, they collected my phone. I said no. And if they didn't do that, I would never stopped it. And then they left, and she asked again. I said no. It was just 2 no's, and she got the message.
That's good. That's good.
That was deep. Like, I was held in the shackle of, sure, I'm trying to make it up to you.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It is.
How did you feel when you said no?
I felt bad. I'm not gonna lie. I felt some type of way. I'm like, but I made that miss an international flight.
I know.
My friends are like, it's not your business. Like, they call the taxi, call Uber, call something. Like, you should have a backup plan. But I just felt bad because for me, my words are like, if I give you my word, I'm actually going to do it. So it hurt at that moment. But like when she began to abuse the little hand I gave her, she took the whole hand, like my whole body. Please.
And that's one thing I've found with, so people pleasers, when you match up with someone who is a user or a narcissistic person, you don't go.
Yeah.
Game over.
Game over.
Because they're like, narcissistic people or users, they're very manipulative and abusive. And so because you always feel so bad and you carry the problems of other people on your head and you feel like, it's my fault, right? They start to use you and use you.
Yeah.
It's such a bad mix. And I'm glad you have friends. So that's another thing too, like having people who can keep you accountable and be like, nope, you're not available, say no.
Yeah.
It's always very good. Yeah. Like when you're trying to get out of that people-pleasing bondage. How about you, Anu? Do you have any? If you don't...
I mean, I'm trying to think because it's literally my everyday life. So I'm trying to like pinpoint where to start from. Because I don't know, like I don't know if there's a specific example I can give, but how it's different how it was when I was younger and now. Now it's more emotional. Like something happens, like the example you were giving of a user or someone that's manipulative, like I would put myself out there and like just try to be as vulnerable as possible. But then there's some people out there that you should not be vulnerable with. And then when they eventually like do the bad thing that they do or use me and all of that, I take it upon myself and like, I made the mistake. I'm the bad person. And then I go to the presence of God and I'm like crying and I'm like, and then God is like, you didn't necessarily do anything wrong. Like it wasn't that deep. So I don't know. It's not a specific example. It's just like things that keep happening over and over and over again. So yeah.
That's interesting. I remember, I mean, I have 2 adult experiences. I think I already shared one of those with
That
you.
was deep. She was in the shackles.
And all of you were like, what? Like you take the crown for people pleasing. So I'll start with the light one. The first one was I was in uni at U of T, and we had this I was taking this course where it was just for 1 week, so every day for a week. And so I was taking it with like I was a master's student, but I was taking it with like I think 2 L's and 3 L's. And so I was doing it with students I didn't know. So first day I didn't know anyone in class. Second day I started like making friends. I met like this girl and this guy, and then we chatted, after the lecture and all of that. Third day they were like, oh, do you want to like go grab lunch? In my account I had $22. I did not have money. And I didn't know when my next cash was going to come in. And I already packed my lunch. I packed my beans. I packed lunch already. I'm like, these beans, I will go to the student lounge, warm it up, and eat lunch. And then they were like, do you want to grab lunch? I already packed my lunch. The first question was, do you have lunch? I said no. That's another thing as well. So people pleasing sometimes can lead to lying, because you start lying, little lies here and there, because you don't want to say no or tell the truth so the other person doesn't feel bad. So I said no, but I had lunch. And then they were like, oh, do you want to grab lunch? I'm like, yes. I went. We got one expensive sandwich like this. They took us to the downtown sandwich of $17. I had like maybe $5 left to survive for the rest of the month. I'm like, who sent me? I could have just said no.
Eating
right?
your beans.
And eating my beans.
Like proper beans too.
So that was that's the first story. The second one, I won't get into the details, but I had this friend and very toxic relationship. She was a user. I don't know if she's still a user. And I got a car, but I couldn't tell her I got a car, because we had this relationship where when I shared good news with her, she would feel she would not be happy for me, and I put it, that responsibility on myself, to protect my good news from her. So I would lie, and then I got a car, and then instead of me to drive to her house, I'll take the bus.
I'm sorry, like
it's like, it don't make sense.
No.
There was one time I was supposed to have dinner. I had a car, and then I parked my car in like maybe no frills or something, and then I took the bus to go and meet her.
Nah, give it up for give it up. You take your crown.
And it was really bad. And so she didn't know I had a car. And I kept lying and lying. And then after I think a while, I almost got exposed. Like someone was like, oh, congratulations on your new car. And she was there, and everyone was like, oh, which car? I did. And then the lady was like, well, you got a car. Like, come. And we lied again. Like, oh, it's not my car. It's not this.
It's the fact that people around you were enabling it though.
That's true.
It's like everyone knew she felt some type of way though.
Because they could have been like, oh yeah, congrats on the car. Like it would have been like, no, dump this person now. But then everybody was hiding.
But then everyone told me to exit that relationship though. But like I didn't have the strength to. So I don't
the life
of people is crazy. And so like I ended up telling her I got the car, but I lied. I said my job bought the car for me.
Wow.
I said it was a company car in Canada. Where did you find a company car from?
Where?
It's crazy, yeah. So it's not.
We thank God.
We thank God for freedom. For freedom. Yeah. So we touched on like people pleasing, making you lie and do things that you're not supposed to do, which affects your relationship with God.
Yeah.
So how has people pleasing affected your relationship with God? Let's talk about that.
I think for me, I'll start being a worker at church, and I feel like and not trying to this is church, so you have to tread carefully. But like I've been to several churches, even back home and here, but I wasn't involved back home. So here it's like you're in church, so you're working with people who are like generally older than you most times, right? And again, I feel like most Africans have this entitled mentality, and it can be draining. And you're trying to voice out how you feel, but no one's listening to you. So it's kind of like now it's taken away from the fact that the thing I love to do in church. I can't, because I no longer enjoy it. So I think before moving down to London, the church I was going to previously, like I used to play the drums for them, and I'll have exams, I'll have tests, and I will go to church for choir practice and everything. And then come the day of Sunday, they'll just pick some random new drummer. Yo, when I tell you I was pissed, I was like, I sacrificed my time, my effort, and I'm not playing the drum now. But it's okay, I'll sit down and learn more. And it became a thing they kind of did, or like, you get to choir practice and everyone is just not ready. Like, and I've actually spent time doing all of this, and now no one's ready. And I couldn't say anything. I was just more so pissed. Like, okay, now it was taken away from my relationship with God, because I was no longer, that commitment, that passion for doing the Lord's, like serving in church, was no longer there, because I was drained. I was tired. I just wanted out. And so I started hating the thing I loved, the thing God had already given me, blessed me with. So I stopped. I told them, you know what, I'm not doing it again. They were asking why, but I didn't want to hurt anyone's feeling. I just said, you know what, I think I just need to take a step back, And that person that affected my work, I think from that moment in college till the time I went back to uni, my relationship with God was kind of like put on a pause till uni. So it was that was my experience and how it affected my relationship with God at that point in time.
I know.
Yeah. So when you were talking, I just remembered like two examples of people pleasing in my adulthood. I don't know if I can share.
Oh, yes.
Okay. So the first one was when I first came to Canada, I was going to this church, and I was serving in the children's department at the time. And because I was there and I was very consistent and I was showing up, all the other teachers decided to not show up again. So I would teach like 3 different classes. I would not learn anything that whole Sunday, and I'll go home with a terrible headache. And that's why I can't be in children's department anymore. I'm sorry. But I wanted to transfer to a different church. I found another church that I was actually, like, I went with my friend and I really liked the worship. I liked the word that they had. So instead of me to tell my supervisor in the previous church that, okay, I found another place that I want to go, I was going to both. I'll go to 2 churches. In the morning, I'll go to one and serve and do all the things I need to do. And then thankfully, well, I don't know if it was fortunately or whatever, the other church started at 4 p.m. So my whole Sunday was literally me in church. So I will serve in the morning, and then I'll go in the afternoon, I'll go and learn, and then come back and I'll just be drained. And then at some point, like, the Holy Spirit convicted me, like, what's the point of going to that first one? Like, you're serving and all of that, but you are not happy to be there. So I carried courage from God knows where, and I quit. I told them I can't be, and then they were like, "Oh, why would you leave us?" That whole guilt trip. And then I was still like, "Okay, let me struggle," but I couldn't do it for long. So that's one example. Serving in church as well. Sometimes I find myself performing, and there's sometimes that I don't necessarily want to be in that place of, oh, I'm that spiritual or I'm that connected to God. Because I've grown up in the church, I know how to church very well. So it might not be from my within, but I will know how to lift my hands up in worship. That's going to be like, that sister. Our sister, she knows what she's talking about. She knows what she's doing. But to be honest, I'm not really that, like, sometimes I don't feel that close. Sometimes I don't feel like serving. Sometimes I don't, like, especially in the department that I serve, you have to know the word. You have to know what you're saying. So I find myself performing sometimes, or like trying to seem like, oh, like I understand what I'm saying, or like, you know, people please my leaders, that type of thing. But God is working on me.
And I liked what you said about performance-based Christianity and how sometimes you're tired, you're burnt out, but because of that, I need to people please. I need to get into worship, so that person can say that, oh, this sister is worshiping. I liked what you said about that, and it just shows that you can't be a people pleaser and please God. That's one thing I have realized in my people pleasing journey. You cannot please man and please God. You have to choose one. Either you please man or you please God. You have to live for an audience of one. Because when you're people pleasing, you are lying, you are pretending, you are being a hypocrite, you are doing all of the things that does not align with your Christian walk. Little foxes, those are the things that will pull you down, pull you back, and you it's hard, but you have to turn your back to man and say, you know what, I'm going to live for an audience of one. And I've realized that when you do that, you will upset a lot of people.
Yeah.
People will be angry, a lot of people won't be happy, but you don't care because you're living to please God. And I wanted to ask, how are you actively trying not to people please? How are you actively, because we're Christians, right? How are you actively trying to please God instead of people please in your day-to-day life?
Okay, I guess I can start. So one way that I'm trying is I ask the Holy Spirit to check me. So randomly, when I'm about to do something, I just hear why. So I learned this from my friend. Before you do anything, ask the why. And if you keep asking the why, you get to the root of it. So like if I'm worshiping and in the middle of the worship, I keep checking myself. Am I doing this because somebody's watching me? Or am I doing it because my heart is actually connected? If my heart is actually not connected, realign. If not, then I don't know, do something else. And in like day-to-day talking to people is, again, asking yourself, why am I doing this? Is it because I want this person to like me? If it is that, then stop doing it. Like sometimes, even if I want to do something, but then I find out that it's because I want this person to like me, I have to take a step back and not do it. It might be hard sometimes, might be difficult sometimes. The person might be like, why are you not doing this? Like, but it's me trying to correct myself and correct that mindset of I don't have to do things to get your approval. That type of thing. Yeah.
So I had to go back to the root of the whole thing. Like, why do I people please? And it's just because I look for the validation in others, right? And honestly, validation should only come from God. So what I've been doing recently is whenever I feel like the opinions of others matter or it's actually bothering me, I go to God, I go to His Word, and I just try to find something that I can, combat how I'm feeling in that time. And also how another way I'm trying to like not people please is I always ask like, can I get back to you? That's something
good.
that's something that's helped me. Like, can I get back to you? But this is the key takeaway from this is when you say that and you're actually getting back to them, don't let them start the conversation first. Make sure you finish what you want to say because that's happened to me so many times. Like I've said, can I get back to you? And I'll start the conversation and they'll cut me off. And somehow they would put their burdens on me and I'll end up saying, okay, sure. Meanwhile, I came into that conversation wanting to say no. And because I've been cut off, just make sure you're getting everything at once. Like when you say, can I get back to you? And you actually get back to them. You're saying how you feel. Boom. And also having friends and people that can hold you accountable.
That's good.
I told my friends, like, guys, I actually want to stop people pleasing. So I need you to put me in uncomfortable situations. And I mean, I'll say no, but actually try and get me to say yes. And if I say yes, just be like, you've messed up. And they've been doing that to me. Like, you know, they'll say, Issy, can we go here? And they know how much I have in my account sometimes. And they're like, see yourself, you fumbled now. And, you know, just having people that will check you and put you in accountable, hold you accountable. I think for me, another thing I wanted to add was one of my younger brother's friend actually was talking to me about a situation I shared with him. And he said, you're a footmat. I said, Jesus. Now, it was at that point I knew like, no, it was at that point I knew something had to give. You have to stop people pleasing. Because he literally said what I just said. Like, I explained my situation to him, but I was like taking the burdens of the other person in play. And he was like, put you first. Stop being a footmat. And yeah.
Wow, that's footmat.
I know. I trust me. Like every time I want to people please now, that term comes to my head. I said, I'm not a footmat. No.
It's just something along that line of footmat. So when I first got my car, I didn't know how to park very well. But there was this one time I parked in the middle of the night, and then I came out the next morning and somebody wrote a note, said, "Nice parking job, princess." Ha!
Was it your sister?
No, it wasn't. It was a random neighbor.
Oh wow.
And I threw the note on the floor and I was like trying to form like, oh, it didn't affect me. And on my way to work, I was like, with tears like rolling down my face, it did not affect me. But till today, every time I'm trying to park anywhere in this London, it's like I keep hearing it, "Nice parking job, princess," and then I reverse again. And then I go back up.
Wait, I'm actually confused. Were you not parked properly?
Apparently not.
Also, they were being sarcastic.
Yes.
Wow.
So every time I want to park now, it's like, okay, am I between the lines? I'll come down and check. I'm like, okay.
That's I'm sorry.
No, but it's like,
No, I've
it's
seen
making
where you
me
park.
do the right thing. But what is in my head is, "Nice job, princess." Even when I got here, I'm like, okay, let me not be a princess. Let me park for you. So that's just a random example. When I realized, so there's a different time that I realized I was people pleasing, and then there's a different time that the Holy Spirit was like, okay, let's work on it. So the root of it was, you don't know who you are. And I was like, okay, let me first of all go back and find out. Because if you know who you are, you won't be waiting for people to tell you.
That's right. Yes.
So I was like, okay, let me go back and learn. So I spent, I think, a year or so trying to learn who I am. Like, don't be letting people dictate yourself to you. And like, one of the things I've struggled with is like, okay, I'm this person. I need to be comfortable in the fact that I'm this person. And if it is that I don't like that, okay, I make the decision by myself to change it. And if somebody should tell me, okay, you need to change that, I'm not changing it because of you. I'm changing it because I also want to match. I understand where you're coming from. And I also want to change that thing. And yeah, like going back to the Bible and understanding, okay, this is who I am. And the thing is, another thing that the Holy Spirit pointed out to me is, at the end of your life, if you look back and you've done every single thing for everybody else, you will not be happy. Like, your heart will just be heavy. Like, even now, your heart is heavy. And then you won't have fulfilled your own purpose. You would have fulfilled somebody else's purpose. You won't fulfill the purpose that God has for you. So, yeah, there's a reason. And I used to struggle with, like, my personality. I want to be more outgoing. I want to be more, like, friendly and playful. But then by the time I finish that one, I get to one, I'm like,
I'm tired.
that took me. But like, getting comfortable in, okay, I'm an introvert. I am the way that I am. It is for a purpose. There's a reason God made me this way. I don't have to bend over backwards because somebody says, you need to be more open. Like, even the kids on my street, like, they talk to my sister and they're like, oh, they're playing around. But then when they talk to me, like, why are you shy?
No, not true.
And then I go and I'm like, why am I shy? Why am I shy, Lord? But for real, like, that's who I am. If I need to change, the Holy Spirit will point it out to me. But otherwise, it is part of my identity. And the fact that it is there means God wants to use it for something. So I can't be jumping up and down because of people. So, yeah.
That's really good. I like that you touched on identity because that is so important. And I feel like we people please because we don't know who we are. See Jesus, for example.
Lately, I always do WWJD, right? What would Jesus do, right? But I was like, Jesus was loving. Like if he could, he would, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was not no foot mat. Like people didn't walk over him.
Yeah.
I mean, the Pharisees wanted him to show them signs and miracles, but he didn't let people. Like, you don't tell me what to do. And even the time he went to the temple, if he was a people pleaser, he'll just, he won't chase people out of the temple, right? But at the same time, he was loving. So I'm like, okay, do I want to continue in this line of people pleasing, or do I, I can. If it's going out of my way, then I mean, I should just voice it out so they know like how I'm feeling and they can meet me halfway or whatever. But that's something I always struggled with because I thought God would go out of his way. And until I went back to the word and Jesus wasn't a people pleaser. He was a loving father, but he wasn't a people pleaser.
Another thing I learned, or I've learned on this journey is that no is a complete sentence. That was something my therapist told me. She's like, no is a complete sentence. No need to explain. Because another thing that comes with, or that used to come with my own people pleasing was several explanations. Layers and layers and layers and layers of explanation. It usually lies. You just cook them up, right? And she's like, no. And be
It's
okay
actually
with it.
hard to say.
Yeah, and that's why she's like, say it and don't explain. Are you available for the barbecue this evening or whatever? No. Full stop.
But you haven't met people.
I
People
know.
ask why. I have people that will ask why. And you'll be like, I said no.
No, I thank God because I feel like I've gotten to the point where I've gotten over that of like somebody is inviting me out and I will go just because I don't want to go out. I want to stay in my house. Where's my dream destination? My bed. Otherwise, we need to go to this place. No. We need to go to this other place. No. Like I don't want to be caught outside and then people are having fun and then I'm here at the back like this. So that one at least I've gotten that, okay, I'm not outside somebody. Yeah, so just that no alone of not going. Yeah. So if there's anything that I've overcome in people pleasing, we thank God.
For me, I think I'm still struggling with that because I'm at the stage in my life where people are telling me, you're not going out, so you have to go out. My mother is saying, why did you go out? My friends are saying, no man will find in your house, all that thing. That's the stage I am in. So it's like, I really don't want to go out, but like I'm forced to go out. And partially it's not because I want to, actually it is actually, to be fair, because I'm just trying to let the pressure from my mom and my dad and pressure from my friends, that's why I'm going to, like, if I had the choice, I'll be in my house and Jesus will bring that man to the door. Leave me alone.
There's this Bible verse I found, Proverbs 29 verse 25 that says, fearing people is a dangerous trap, but trusting the Lord means safety. So sometimes, even people pleasing comes from fear of people, of what will people say, how would they take it, what would they do. So again, everything is just like the opposite of what God wants. And I think for me, it was when I started lying. I used to be a liar. Like,
people pleasers usually you have a degree in that. And it's the little ones. And then it's little ones. Like,
you don't really need to
it's
lie
like,
about it. You could have just not even said anything.
Yeah. And then I'm like, wait, why did I lie again? Like, why? Like, why? And then at first, you make yourself feel good by saying, oh, it's just the little lies, white lies here and there. But they add up.
Oh, they do.
To become monsters, right? So just that, I was in that relationship, friendship, and I've just felt confined. I felt like, why am I lying? Oh, where are you? Because maybe I'm with another friend. I didn't want her to feel bad because I would lie. Oh, why are you not here? I didn't feel like coming, but I would lie. And all of these things. And then it was affecting my relationship with God. And God's like, why are you lying? Why are you lying though? And all of those other things. So just because I feared man. So I feel like a mindset shift is also needed. once we're like, okay, I fear no man. I fear no man. I fear no man. And if they're your friends, they respect your boundaries. They respect your decisions. They respect them. What advice would you give to that young girl or woman who is a people pleaser and she's struggling with people pleasing? What would you say to her right now?
It would be learn to say no. It's tough. You can always tell people I will get back to you. And then also just pray about it. Like tell God, like this is something I know, like you mentioned earlier, you can't have two masters at the same time. You can't please God and please man. So God help me. Like I really am tired of, being drained.
It's draining.
It is draining. Like it is actually,
It's
yeah, it
draining.
is. I'm tired of being drained. I want to change. I want to stop pleasing. I want to stop living a life to please others because I cannot, walk in that purpose that you've fully like, your purpose for me if I continue to please man. And just pray about it. Talk to him like he would come through for you. And ultimately start saying no. The time you start saying no is the beginning of your new chapter. So I'm still working on it. So I still people please. But I'm slowly.
Like the disclaimer.
No, I'm still. Trust me, it doesn't take. It's not a day thing. Or, it takes years. It takes months. Everyone's different, but start saying no and go from there. The Lord will help you.
So for me, there's three things. One, there's hope. There's always hope. Like it can seem like, oh, I'm drowning. I can't say no to this person. I'm currently like, if somebody's in a friendship like you were, like there is always hope. And somebody said this to me one time, and she don't know that she has blessed my life since then. The best things are on the other side of fear. You might be afraid of maybe if I tell this person this thing, but the release you will get from it, it is you cannot you can't explain it. So if that is something you have to do, or just say it, just do it, just say no. And then when you find yourself at home and not in that place, it's like, well, like thank God I'm not there. And then the last thing I'll say is I'm also learning this now is if you find a fruit in your life that you don't like, ask God to change your heart. Because if you are constantly working on the fruit on the surface, you will still be producing the same bad fruit. I watched a sermon last week that was saying, it referenced the part of the Bible that said, good tree will only produce good fruit and bad tree will only produce bad fruit. So asking God to change the root of it, change your heart, and heal whatever it is that started it in the first place. I think that's the best advice I can ever give, because if we are trying to do it from the outside, that takes more strength. But then if God is doing it, you'll not even notice when you're like, oh, I said no, that type of thing. So, yeah.
You guys want to touch on boundaries a little bit?
Off my mic.
She said off my mic.
Boundaries, because that was another thing
Yeah.
I had to build, because I realized I did not have boundaries. And so people were able to walk all over me because I did not have boundaries. And I think everyone needs to have boundaries.
Yeah.
It's another important thing for someone who's trying to break free from people pleasing. Do you want to touch on it for a bit?
I can't really touch on it because the boundaries have not been set. No, like we're working on that. We're working on that. The thing, like I'll say this, the thing is, people around me already know I'm a people pleaser, and I'm actually trying to break free from that, space. So the boundaries, the people that I actually consider my friends and close to me, I've already had that conversation with them. Like, please, whenever you see my face, just drop like this. When you ask me something, just no. I mean, still try to get the no from me, but like whenever you see my face change or you see I'm like, be like, I understand, don't force me, don't force it. You can help me. I know right now I'm working on myself, but help me get there. So I think that's the only boundary I've set right now. Still trying to work on it. Yeah. And also just leave for me and not for them. There's a quick example I want to share. It was in uni where I'll pick up my friends and I'll be playing like worship songs. And as soon as they enter my car, I'll switch to Burna Boy.
Hey.
God, like it's crazy. And then I think I got a conviction once, and then I just said, I'm done with that. And they'll enter this car and they'll hear me play my worship song. They actually liked it though. They were singing the worship song with me.
Wow.
I did not know. I did not know.
That happens all the time. And you're like, why was I even doing that
so
in the first place?
yeah, just living for you and not living a double life.
That's good.
It helps. I don't know. That's what.
Any boundaries?
No.
No.
The Lord is working on me.
Okay.
But yeah, what you said about getting convicted, I got convicted yesterday. It's very recent. So there's this coworker that my wallpaper at work says not by faith but by sight. So not by Jesus.
Not
by sight but by faith. Yeah, please don't let me blaspheme. And there was another time that he was going through something and I was like, okay, I'll be praying for you. So he knows that I'm Christian. And then yesterday he was saying something about, was it yesterday or Thursday? He was saying something about he's going out with his friends and they're going to have a couple drinks, and that's how out of nowhere, because I don't want it to be long, started making jokes about hangover and don't come to work with hangover and I entered my car. You
were like,
why? Did you have to make that joke? You're confusing this person. Like if this person was going to ask you something about faith, now you are saying something about hangover. So yeah, God is helping us. Boundaries wise, I don't know if I necessarily have anything. I mean, I'm trying to have boundaries, but there's times that the boundaries do bend. But
that boundary keeps getting.
Yeah, it's like if somebody says the right things, and I can just be like, we'll come back to it later. But
like you said,
the Holy Spirit is there to knock me on the head.
You need to set our boundaries.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are wrapping up very soon, but I just wanted to ask if you have any resources that you are using right now that is helping you, any books you've read, any podcasts, apart from this one, that is helping you in your journey.
I know you want to go. You said?
Read your Bible.
That's good.
Yeah, read your Bible. And well, I wouldn't, this is not like journaling also helps me. I find that when I write things out, just like get it out of my head. Sometimes it comes out as a very cute poem. Sometimes it's sad, but the Holy Spirit is reading it for me. But just read your Bible and get all the assurance you need from the Bible.
That's good.
Stop waiting for people to tell you that you did a good job or not.
That's good.
Like also with journaling is write out the good things that you've done. Like I know one of the parts of my people pleasing is waiting for people to tell me that you've done good. But if you congratulate yourself first, you don't need somebody else to congratulate you. So writing out all the congratulations that you want to say to yourself, all the okay, good job, kudos, write it out and read it to yourself. And actually dip it. Like even if nobody tells you you've done a good job, know that you've done a good job.
It really is. That's good advice. Take it. For me, like you said, read your Bible. The stories we need are actually in the Bible.
They're in the Bible.
Like, see men like Paul, like Daniel, like these people didn't need validation from anybody. Like
Peter was a people pleaser, because I remember in Galatians 2 when Paul came and then he was eating with the Gentiles at first, and then when he now switched to the Jews, and then Paul blasted him like, bro, like
their stories.
And then people pleasing can also, I guess, if people look up to you, like in Galatians 2, I think when Barnabas was confused when Peter now was eating with the Gentiles and then moved to the Jews, and he was confusing other people as well. So if they look up to you and then you are people pleasing one day, you are pleasing God the other, they're like, you can confuse other people as well. Peter was definitely a people pleaser, I think.
So everything you need is in the Bible. Pray about it. A book I recommend is, I don't know, I think Atomic Habit helped. I just read it recently, and I wrote down some stuff that I want to work on, and I recommend the book to you. Like it can help with people pleasing, I believe. And like Anu said, journaling, do it. congratulate yourself, because be the first person to tell yourself congratulations. Then when other people do it, it's not like it's just words, but you've already said it already to yourself. So that's the only thing I can think of off the top of my head. So
Ultimately, the Bible is, the go-to resource that you need. And finally, do you think, I guess therapy as well, but the disclaimer is, for me, because I'm a Christian, make sure your therapist is also a Christian.
How can they do that? Do you
I
have
don't
a
know. God will help you.
Google it.
Because because I don't know, it's tough, but just because if you and your therapist, I don't know, like if the foundation is different, then there is some
Confusion can
So my own therapist is Christian, so that's good. But therapy helped. However, I only had 2 sessions and I was free. I'm just kidding. But my husband also really played a huge role in helping me be accountable. So I left therapy and then went to my husband, and he was like, no.
What about us that don't have who do we go to? Go to God. Go to God.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, I guess therapy is also a good resource.
Yeah.
And do you ever think you can break free from people pleasing? Like be completely free? Because there are people out there who, I want to believe there are people that don't people please. And they don't even feel the urge to people please. Do you ever think you can get to that point?
I think it's very possible. There's nothing that is not healable. God does not expect us to live with a constant crutch like this all the rest of our lives. Like, you have to learn to please God completely and not please man. So I think it is definitely possible. There's times that it will still pop up, but then you have to fight it.
That's true.
But,
And
yeah.
it's just like every other temptation, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. What she said.
What she said.
What she said.
I do have a question though, real quick. I was thinking about this a while ago. Do you guys think this is people pleasing as well? Those people online that say, I don't care about what other people think. I'm myself. I'm this. Like, I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Like, there's that forward of like, I'm this girl, I'm that girl. But then,
I think it is, because why are you telling us?
yeah,
The fact that you're telling us, like, just keep it to yourself.
keep it to yourself and be that.
You're
Not
trying to validate your
yes,
your actions with opinions that no one asked for.
yeah.
So I'm sorry to break it to you.
It is people pleasing.
Join this squad.
Yeah.
Hopefully you break free soon.
Yeah. Final thing I'll
Okay,
add
okay.
is I wrote down 2 scriptures. I took notes.
Oh.
That will count as my notes. Galatians 1 verse 10. It says, I'm obviously not trying to flatter you or water down my message to be popular with men, but my supreme passion is to please God. For if all I attempt to do is please people, I will fail to be a true servant of Christ. First Thessalonians, I'm not sure if I can remember, but it's somewhere in First Thessalonians that
I think I know I wrote it down somewhere too.
If you can find it.
First Thessalonians 2?
Yeah, 2 verse 4.
Yeah. For we speak as messengers approved by God to...
For we speak as messengers approved by God to be entrusted with the good news. Our purpose is to please God, not people. He alone examines the motive of our hearts. Yeah.
This was fun.
It
It was therapeutic.
It was. It was. Thank you so much.
Just know you're not alone, and God can set you free.
Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having us.
I knew I was going to love this conversation, but I really loved it.
Yeah.
I did. Thank you so much.
Yeah.